Which one is the actual?
So we have a...
Nice!
Yeah.
Wow!
So you
This
can
is
go,
a speed run.
You can go to the UI component.
Game is done under
at the bottom.
30 seconds.
Yeah, just disable that one and then we can actually see what's going on. Alright,
Ooh.
yeah, there we go, welcome. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
this is the game that Nick made, Thomas?
yeah.
Yes, I will chat.
So it's actually set up on a VR rig, so you need to go to play mode. Just press play to play. And then in the scene we can probably fly around with WASD and see all the stuff that we did.
This is some cool stuff.
Unfortunately, as a word.
Well, we had to rely on 3 artists, right? And try to not overload our programmer. So in that sense, yeah, just get rid of this. It's fine. Press ignore. Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, we're very sure. Yeah, and then go to the scene. Yeah.
Oh,
So
moving,
yeah. So where we are at the moment is like the first floor with the double security camera.
Yeah, so we start up here or at the other side?
Yeah, on this side. Yeah, and both the cameras actually have like the field of view kind of thing going on with a little laser that actually cuts you in half.
Hang on, can't we do like a full screeny thingy? I forgot how this thing works.
You can close all the other windows, basically.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
That's what.
That was my plan.
Yeah.
There you go.
And we really wanted to play around with you as a person in VR, right? So you being a physical thing in the world.
Mhm.
So we kind of made like the Dance Dance Revolution challenges, where before the first bunch of boxes, you actually have to really stand still and put your arms down to ensure that you have the least amount of visible surface.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, so then you could hide behind these boxes.
Yeah, and our first challenge was that this level is actually 40 by 40 meters, and in play space you can only walk for 4 meters, so we had to use teleporting, and we thought the standard teleporter is kind of lame, so that's where we kind of made the teleportation device, and you could actually throw that away, like
Because the standard version is you make like an arc.
yeah,
and
you
point
just
to the
press a
next
button
point,
and you say, I want to
and you
go
go
there.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there was no skill involved, and we thought, hey, tossing a ball like through a chamber with physics would actually be pretty cool. So yeah, we did that, and that's actually the way in which you move your entire play space, right? So you have the 4x4 as soon as you land again, and the cool thing is, yeah, you can leave that on. Don't worry.
Okay.
What are you looking for? Actually,
I want to have the gizmos. The
maybe
icons.
try the gizmos menu.
Yeah, but there's so much stuff in there.
Oh.
Yeah, there's too much stuff to actually deselect, I think.
Yeah.
And for the second one, we started with like a laser grid pattern, and we wanted players to actually get down in VR. So we wanted them to hit the floor and really start crawling through the level.
Is that
So
in there?
yeah. So these boxes, this camera can only be evaded if you're like below 40 centimeters.
I mean, I never had issue with that, to be
because
honest.
it actually blocks the light.
Yeah. So the particle effect actually
yeah.
gets blocked
Yeah,
by
that's-
the
The laser
boxes.
doesn't go through it,
Yeah. So the laser is a guidance thing for the player to see where you can actually go. And the cameras are actually detecting you while you are in their view cone, but it takes a while, right? So they're kind of recognizing you over
So you
time.
have a little bit of time.
You have a little window, because otherwise our system in the beginning was like God. You walk into the level, it was like, oh, hello, I can see your pinky toe. Now you're done. And then you had to toss your teleporter up on this bridge on the left-hand side, underneath the LED screens. And we went for the 80s vibe with like different shaders, and then we made this mechanic which we called the Annemaria Koekoek mechanic. Yeah, and it sounds a little bit weird for people that are not Dutch, but Annemaria Koekoek is a game. Yeah, it's
green light.
yeah, it's like Peekaboo. It's like a game that you used to play as a kid, right? And these panels that you see over here with the wavy pattern, they're actually a corridor that check your movement. So if the player enters this, you will see the water rising on the sides, and it's actually a security system. And as soon as the water hits the top end of the panel, the alarm system triggers. And we've also disabled the teleporter in this part. So
you have to
actually move through it using your view space. And if you stand completely still, the meters will also go down again, and they become blue, so like showing that it kind of freezes. And people have to go through it, and then once you reach the other side, it doesn't track you anymore, so you've kind of passed that second challenge. And where you end up at the end over here is like the last platform, and it has little security drones, 2 of them, that actually have lasers that move in patterns and try to cut you in half.
Wow.
And you can use your teleporter to actually chuck them out of the air. So if you hit them, they will dissolve and their lasers will be gone. And that kind of lifts the final barrier before you can reach the keycard that you have to transmit, right? we had to slap the theme on somewhere. Yeah, the final key card is on like a pedestal where you can just go there, and it's that was the only big mistake that we made. I was the one developing the models, and I was really consistent with scaling. And then at the end, we still needed this thing, and we kind of quickly mocked it together. And then we had people with normal height, not like me, trying to reach for this. And we noticed that it was like on this height. So you had people that were like almost 2 meters, all the way reaching down for the final objective. But for me, it was like perfect because I could just go like this, right?
That's why you got the Kids Award.
That's why we got the Kids Award, right? It was entirely developed for that one.
To be
Yeah.
fair, it does give you that Indiana Jones of kneeling in front of the stone.
Yeah, and trying to
Like-
get it. Yeah. So we had a little key card that was like the objective that you had to transmit back to the planet every time. If you put your hand inside the key card, actually the bar on top loads up.
Yeah.
It kind of pops, and then all the effects go away, and then you go back to the menu.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was like the first iteration.
Very cool.
And
Pretty cool.
yeah,
Very
we wanted to do some stuff with particles, with shaders. All the shaders are custom written. That's what we like to do. So yeah, this is kind of like an insight in.
So
in
what
we
happened with the shaders? Because at one point you were pushed away from your terminal because the programmer had to reduce the graphics you were using.
did. Yeah, all right, yeah. So I went a
Casper
little
was
bit
like,
overboard.
yeah.
Yeah. So in the beginning we had like this
I mean,
this really cool plexus effect, right? And the plexus is where multiple particles are being connected by line renderers. I kind of went overboard with that one. So I created a system that actually made an entire skybox out of plexuses.
Oh boy.
And that one actually started melting the computer, and then we were like, yeah, we probably should get rid of this one. So there were more particle effects and more things in there, but we kind of rewrote the shaders to be able to put them all there in VR. That was a cool challenge.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the particles, we had like smoke grenades going off. That's the kind of kit that we were going for. But ultimately, like any game jam, right, you end up in having too many features in too little time. Yeah, but the original idea was stealth, trying to hide behind objects, trying to overcome challenges with smoke grenades and trying to evade the system. Yeah. So this is what we kind of did. Yeah, but it's all in VR, so that's a shame that you can't see that.
Yeah, there were unfortunately several VR games that we can't show on the stream.
Yeah.
I think that's also the kind of the for stream, okay, but it's also the power that you actually made something that is really suited and really makes a good use of VR, you know. So to such an extent that you can only play it in VR, obviously.
Yeah.
I have to
I
say,
really
the
like
throwing was really hard.
Yeah.
Like, I had some serious issues with throwing. I generally, in real life, also have some issues with throwing, but...
So it's perhaps not the code. But
No.
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
It was very challenging, but also very fun to just go like, okay.
Yeah.
No, never
Yeah,
mind.
that was also something that we tried to do. If you get up on the top platform, there's no railing protecting your teleporter. We thought, if you're trying to go for a trick shot somewhere, if you want to evade a system by throwing the teleporter across it, it means that you could also potentially end up in the pit behind it, where all the security cameras are. So we had a lot of players that actually tried throwing it all the way to the top balcony from the first go, and then you throw it, but usually it ends up like in the middle of the second camera view view cone, and then immediately you would lose, and it was over.
So the range on the ball is not so far that players could skip everything.
No, and we specifically have colliders for that to
Yeah.
ensure that doesn't happen.
Can you
Yeah.
download this?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Can you download the
Yeah.
games